Welcome to Daily 5 for Thursday, June 12th, 2025. I didn't really expect to do 2 5s in a row on the WWDC announcements, but I have seen some people talking about this particular subject, so I thought I would chime in just a bit. And it is about probably the biggest obvious redesign for, I guess we're calling it all now 26. Is that what it is? iOS 26, macOS 26, everything, which is the update to the visual design, which is being termed liquid glass. And if you haven't seen this, it's a pretty neat effect. Essentially, it is more or less what it sounds like, where many icons are being given a level of transparency where whatever you scroll past underneath them, or depending on how they move, there's actually an interesting distortion effect, as if you were looking through, I would say, kind of a very thick piece of frosted glass, or, slightly kind of matted glass. It's very, very interesting from an animation perspective, just in terms of the work that had to be put in, as many articles are pointing out. Even ones that don't like it have said, yeah, this is a impressive technical achievement, which it is. But a lot of people have reacted pretty negatively to this. And I'll be honest, when I first saw it, my initial response to it was, wow, that seems to be making some things kind of hard to read. And that's what a lot of people are complaining about, particularly those who are concerned about accessibility, but also people who are just interested in design and how design should make things very easy to grapple with as opposed to make them more difficult. And certainly, I don't disagree with the individuals who are saying that this does make things difficult to read. Whether it is good or bad design, to some degree, gets very, very subjective. I think there's some people who think it's really wonderful and some people who think it's really bad. Now, the biggest thing to me is, and I don't think people are taking this into account with a lot of these opinions, but I want to make sure I'm very clear about it, is I will eventually. My iPad will get this at some point, but not anytime soon. Don't update anything for a little while and make sure all the bugs are out. That's a warning I give to everybody. I'll remind you again. Do not jump on top of these updates, especially one as serious as this, where they've redesigned a lot of things. Just wait. Make sure everything works. But once I do get this, I will because there are several options. And I think this is what people are overlooking is, there are ways to mitigate this effect. There were several I think they showed off during the keynote. There's also, Apple is generally pretty good about having a robust suite of accessibility options where you can probably turn most of this off, either by using some variation of a high contrast mode. I am positive that this OS update is going to have features that will allow people who find this particular redesign distracting to simply turn it off. And as I said recently about something else, I don't remember, there was something else where I was talking about the fact that I'm not going to complain as long as I'm pretty sure, and in this case, like I said, Apple has had a pretty good track record with this. As long as there is an ability for people to turn this off, then I really don't care in this case if it is badly designed. I don't think myself I would call this a badly designed thing. It does feel like one of these cases where Apple, and they've done this before and not a few times, it feels like they got overly impressed with what they could manage to do in terms of the animation effect, and they may have let that override the kind of the better principles of design, where you are supposed to emphasize making sure that there's a clear understanding and that you're not impeding what people are trying to take in. That's kind of a core tenet of a lot of design principles. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is also the opposing one, which is like Memphis design, if you just want to look for something that is supposed to cause a lot of visual disharmony. But I don't think that's what Apple was going for. Instead, like I said, I have a feeling this is something that somebody kind of worked out, they demoed it, and everybody was wowed by it because it is an impressive effect. It really is. Again, taking out the design and the kind of usability of it to see what this thing does in motion. There's many videos of it, and you'll see them. It is a neat looking effect. Now, whether it actually serves to allow people to engage with what they're using better, that's where the debate is. But as long as it can be turned off, as long as there are alternatives where people who do have vision problems or are distracted or just cannot legibly comprehend, I mean, my eyes aren't great. So looking at it, like I said, I kind of saw some of the letters blending together. So as long as it's something that can be turned off, then I'll see what the big deal is. You know, you can get into design debates about anything. But as long as Apple maintains their fairly good commitment, their fairly good commitment to accessibility, then there's good design or not. As long as you can turn it off, then I got no problem with it. Later.